My question for you is, you talked a lot about having to balance the budget and some cuts that had to be made, but I haven't really heard too much about your foresight and your plans in the future once the budget is balanced to reallocate resources and help those that are affected by that. So I want to know your plans, not only for the state, but also for higher education.
One of the biggest investments we need to make is in early childhood education. And I'm planning on doing that when and if we get the opportunity and the resources to do it. We need, right now, our early childhood efforts in Kentucky are limited to, we go down, I believe, to 4-year-olds within a certain level of income range. And we need to get on down earlier than that. We need to have programs for very young children, reading programs, health programs, because we need a holistic approach to a child in order to move them along in the right way. Right now, in addition to educational things that we need to be doing, one thing we are doing is expanding our K-CHIP program, which is the Children's Health Insurance Program for children in low-income families. When I came into office, I found the good news was that we had about 52,000 kids that qualified for that program that were in that program. The bad news was we had an estimated 67,000 additional kids who qualified for that program who weren't in the program for one reason or another. So we have set out with an aggressive program of finding those kids, identifying them, identifying the families, and getting them in this program, because a healthy child is going to have a lot more opportunity to learn than an unhealthy one is. And everybody in the studies will tell you that too. So we've got to attack that early childhood piece in both the health area and with the education area. K through 12, up until about high school, our test scores are looking good. You know, we've really made a lot of progress. Something happens in high school. We have a lot of kids dropping out, not finishing. Some kids aren't ready to go to college even when they graduate from high school, and we need some work there, so we're going to need to invest some there. Higher education, we have got to invest a lot more in over the long haul. We've got to get more of our folks going to some kind of advanced training. You know, it doesn't always have to be a bachelor's degree. It can be a community college program, it can be a technical school program, but the jobs of the 21st century are not going to be held for the most part by folks with just a high school diploma. It's going to be folks who have gone on and gotten advanced training of some kind to develop their skills for those kind of jobs that are going to be the jobs of the future. That's where my main effort will be, because I think education is the key to success, not only for the individual, but for this state. If we have a better educated population, we'll have a better economy. More companies will want to locate here because they will look at our workforce and be even more impressed than they are right now. Obviously, we've had to make some cuts in some of the social services that we have, and people need that. And I want to go back as we have the resources and make sure that they get what they need. But education long term, it has got to be where we put our eggs. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Governor, first of all. You're a good man. I really like you as our governor. But I'm really concerned as a recent, well, I will be a recent student. I'm a senior with a double major in political science and justice administration. And because of this job scare, I feel like I have to postpone my graduation because I don't want to graduate and then having to, having to look for a job and then having to pay my loans where I don't feel like my luck is not, but I'm afraid I'm not going to get a job. And I work hard for this, so what kind of assurance can you give us? Or can you?
Well, I know what you mean, and I'm sure that there are others like you that are in that situation. Obviously, there are no guarantees of anything, but what I see out there and what the experts tell me they see out there is an economy that is turning the corner and starting on the way up in some sectors. But they also tell me that that the economy is not going to grow as fast as it declined. and that it's going to take some time for us to get back up even to the level where we were in 2008 before this really hit us with force. And so it is a difficult time out there. What we're trying to do as we move through it is to continue our economic development efforts to create more jobs out here for people like you that are coming out. And that's a difficult thing to do because companies have been affected just like we have as individuals, and there's not as many of them that want to make an investment right now and expand their operations because people aren't buying their goods as much as they did before, so they're hesitant. Everybody's hesitant right now. You know, everybody's kind of sitting there waiting for something to happen. About 90% of this recession is mental, and that's the way they always are. You know, things start happening that are bad, and people sort of turn inward, and they become afraid. They don't want to spend their money because they're afraid they may need it later, and so everybody sort of hunkers down, and they're going to wait this out. And as the news gets out there, and I think we see it now that things are starting to turn around. Hopefully that's going to loosen up people, just their thinking, and businesses thinking. Right now, even businesses that want to expand are having trouble getting credit. You know, you used to be able to go to the bank or go to some of these investment firms and you could borrow the money necessary to expand your business. Right now they're having a difficult time doing that because the banks are sitting over here being afraid and being cautious. So it feeds on itself once you get into one of these spirals. I see us starting to come out of that, but it's going to take some time and effort on the part of a lot of people to get us back to where we were. So, I mean, that's not a good answer to what you asked, but I do see things picking up. And I think that it will in the next year to 2 years, you'll see a noticeable difference. I think you'll see a noticeable increase in activity in the economy. So if that helps you plan a little bit, you know, in terms of when you make decisions, I hope that's helpful. I wish I had a magic bullet for you, but I don't. Okay. Yes.
Yes, thanks for coming, Mr. Wall. And I'd like to ask, looking forward, Jerry Richardson has been a big asset and a big advocate for the city for many, many years, longer than I've been alive. What role do you see? Yeah. What role do you see him playing in Frankfurt? Maybe at some point. What kind of asset is he to you, and what can he bring to the state of Kentucky?
Well, as some of you know, I recently announced that I was going to run for re-election, and in Kentucky, the law requires you to have a lieutenant governor candidate if you're going to file for re-election and begin raising money. It's a long way to 2011. If our laws were different, we wouldn't be out there right now because that's 2 years off, and who wants to think about that? You know, we've got a lot of issues to think about. But it requires a lot of money to run for governor, and it takes us, you know, a year and a half or so to raise that kind of money. And so we had to go ahead and announce. My current lieutenant governor, Dr. Daniel Manjardo, been a great lieutenant governor, but he decided to run for the U.S. Senate, and so he couldn't be my running mate. I'll tell you, when I had to go look for one, I looked no farther than Jerry Abrams. I've known Jerry for 30 years, longer than you've been alive. And he is a leader. He's a person of integrity. He's a person of great energy. And to have somebody like that as lieutenant governor for me is going to be such a huge help. To have his intellect to work with me to help lead this state for the 4 years after 2011, hopefully if we get elected, it's just going to be a great team. I couldn't be more excited than to have him. I know it's a loss to Louisville because he's done a tremendous job here, but it'll be a gain for Louisville also because as lieutenant governor, he'll make sure that Louisville is not forgotten in terms of what's going to go on in Frankfurt. So I can't say enough good things about him. Someone asked me, because he's a person of such great energy, and those of you that have been around him know this, they said, Governor, are you concerned that he might overshadow you? And I said, I hope so. Because, I mean, the stronger leader I have with me, the better off we all are. So I'm looking